Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guide. This is another episode of the C++ for Beginner series, and in this video we are going to learn about repetition and for loop. So basically in the last video we were discussing control flow and we discussed how conditionals work, and yeah, I recommend that you watch that video first if you don't know what I'm talking about. And now we are going to learn how repetition works. So for now we learned sequence, which means that everything is executed normally. We learned conditionals, which means this will only execute if this is true, else this will execute. And now we need to learn repetition, which means that you basically have a special action that you need to repeat a number of times. So let us consider a example program to understand that. So consider a situation in which we want to say hello 10 times. So I'm going to say cout, and I'm going to say hello. Let's say just say one hello, one, and let's just put the time like that, and let's say hello. Now we want to put this hello 10 times. So how are we going to do that? Well, you might be tempted to just go ahead and copy this line and then just paste it 10 times. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and maybe just go ahead and manually kind of change these to be 3, this to be 4, and like that. Now this may work because I mean it's obviously going to produce a correct result, but this is not how you would ideally want to do it. Ideally what you would want to do is you would want to have a simpler way of doing this kind of repetition. So we are basically repeating a bunch of stuff, so we don't want to actually do it again and again, because that would just be a waste of time and energy. And this might work for something like 10, but let's say you have got to something like 100, 1,000, or a million, or even more than that. And then you can't obviously put all of those as lines, and it's already wasting a lot of space. So how are you going to do that if you want to repeat something? Well, that's where loops come in, which is the third and final part of control flow. The idea is that you've got a special kind of code structure called a loop, in which you provide it with a basically you can basically make a certain action execute until a statement is true or a certain number of times. So we are going to learn about the for loop today, and which is mainly used when you want a certain action to repeat for a certain number of times. So in order to use the for loop, you need to literally just say for, and this will and then you need to put a pair of parentheses as you did in the if statement, and you can just go ahead and add a parenthesis and add these curly brackets here, and whatever you put in here will basically yeah, it will basically work, and it will execute as long as the for loop is executing. So let's just go up here, and in here you need to specify it with 3 things. So in here you need to provide it with an expression of 3 things. So first of the things is basically you need to I told you that for loop basically works when by repeating an action a certain number of times. For that you need to put a variable. So you need to create a variable which is a counter. It will basically count how many times it has gone, which is normally named I, just like that, a small letter I, and you can obviously name it counter or C or N or anything else, but that's the most common one. And you're going to say is equal to, and we are doing one equal here. We are setting this value to be 0. So int I is equal to 0, and we are going and now you can put a semicolon after that, and then you need to put the second part of the expression, which is going to be the condition that you want to go on. So this will be a so this is we have got a counter variable which called I, which we are initializing to 0 in here. And what we do in here is we want to provide the condition which will if that condition is true, then the loop will keep executing again and again, which is that let's say that our I is less than 10. And then you want to add another one here, which will basically be an action that executes every time you do the loop, and it will often it will increment the counter. So let us consider how this is working. So we are initializing an int I to be equal to 0, then we are putting a semicolon, and then we are providing it with a condition. So this int I is equal to 0, and as long as the I is less than 10, it will keep executing, and each time that the loop executes, we are going to increase the I by 1. And let us go ahead and say hello, and what you should see is that now we get hello repeated 10 times, which is pretty awesome. and let's you can see it says hello, and it should be 10 times if you actually go ahead and count it. Now you might want to like say, like we were doing before, we were telling the number before we did that, so we need to say we can put the actual variable. You can use the actual variable inside of the for, and this variable that's created here cannot be used outside of the for loop. It can only be inside, used inside. So we are doing this and see out, and we are saying I, and then we are putting a colon at this, and let's see how that goes. And I'm going to start, and you can see it says 0 1 2 3 and 2 9, but so you may want to have 10. Now normally what you do when you are wanting an action to execute is a certain number of time, is that you set the I to be equal to 0. And the way that works is that I will be 0 when the for loop executes the first time, and then it will increase the I by 1, and will keep going until the I is 9, because 9 is less than 10. When the I is 10, it's not less than 10, it's equal to 10, so it will only execute till I is 9. You can obviously change this by changing this to be I is less than or equal to, by adding an equal sign after that. And you can go here and maybe set this to 1, yeah, like that. Like that, and it will basically produce a different result. Now it will go from 1 to 10, and that's pretty awesome. And this is a kind of not like the conventional way of doing it, so you may want to keep this normal like this, and you can go ahead and actually add add 1 to I here. So if I go here, you can see now it works the same way without causing any problem. So yeah, this was pretty much it for this video. In this video we learned how repetition works, and we learned for loop. In the next video we will learn while loop, so make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next one, and bye.